Have you ever felt stuck in a life that doesn't really feel like yours? Like every day is on repeat. Wake up tired, go through the motions, pay the bills, and go to bed wondering, is this all there is? Maybe you're doing what's expected, holding it together, showing up. But deep down there's a quiet voice that says, you were made for something more. That voice, it's telling the truth. And the way out of that invisible trap isn't luck. It's not motivation either. It's discipline. Jordan Peterson says, discipline shapes chaos and turns suffering into structure. Tony Robbins adds, freedom doesn't come from chance, it comes from choice. And that choice starts with you. Right now. The discipline you avoid today is the freedom you'll lack tomorrow. It's a hard truth, but no one's coming to save you. The good news? You don't need to be saved. You need to start moving. Every small habit you ignore builds the cage. Every small action you take builds the ladder out. This video is about that ladder. 9 actions to help you escape despair and rebuild a life worth living. Not with magic, but with daily grounded steps. Ones that work. You'll hear real stories, like David Beckham, Viola Davis, and J.K. Rowling. People who started with nothing, faced setbacks, and climbed back with discipline. You'll see why the pain you feel right now might be your greatest turning point. In Chapter 1 we'll start simple. Because you don't need a big plan, you just need a real one. And it starts with the next 5 minutes. Let's get one thing straight. If your life feels stuck right now, it's not because you're lazy or broken. It's because somewhere along the line, you were trained to think small actions don't matter. But they do. In fact, they're everything. Jordan Peterson says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. That one shift in perspective can change your entire life. When you stop chasing perfection and start aiming for progress, even tiny steps, you begin to rebuild from the inside out. That's where discipline starts. Not with grand plans, but with micro victories. Tony Robbins puts it this way, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives. It's what we do consistently. And consistency starts with something so simple it almost feels silly. That's why your first mission is this. Spend 5 minutes today putting one part of your space in order. Make your bed. Clean your desk. Fold the laundry. You're not cleaning a room, you're building the muscle of action. Science backs this up too. Dr. Andrew Huberman explains that even small wins create dopamine feedback loops in the brain, which builds motivation and resilience over time. Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. If your peace of mind isn't a priority, what is? You don't need a new life. You need a new rhythm. A new ritual. People you admire started with small, disciplined steps. David Beckham wasn't always a global icon. He began by sweeping locker rooms and showing up early, long before anyone noticed him. Viola Davis didn't just survive poverty. She used discipline in acting to escape it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, a teenage immigrant, trained at 4 a.m. before work because that's when no one could stop him. J.K. Rowling wrote in cafes, broke and exhausted, but she wrote. Every day. Even when no one cared. None of them had perfect conditions. What they had was discipline. So here's your second mission. Stop comparing your starting point to someone else's finish line. The only person you're racing is the old you. And your third mission? Create a habit that takes less than 2 minutes. Stretch. Drink a glass of water. Write 1 sentence in a notebook. Don't worry if it feels too small. That's the point. Because starting small is how real change begins. Discipline isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. 1 step, 1 habit, 1 decision at a time. This is where the climb begins. Up next, how pain, when embraced with responsibility, becomes power. Pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. And if you're feeling it, it's trying to teach you something. There's a belief that strong people don't struggle. That's not true. Strong people struggle and then they choose to rise. Over and over again. Jordan Peterson says, don't avoid suffering. Carry it with dignity. When life falls apart, the easy way out is to blame, numb, or shut down. But discipline, real discipline, is doing the hard thing when no one is watching. Facing your pain with responsibility. Tony Robbins teaches that pain pushes until purpose pulls. Meaning, if you ignore your pain, it grows. But if you face it, you can redirect it. That's your next mission. Identify one pain you've been avoiding. Give it a name. Write it down. Own it. You are not weak for feeling it. You're brave for confronting it. Think about Michael J. Fox, star of Back to the Future. A movie full of energy, hope, and wonder. Off-screen, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's in his 30s. He didn't hide from it. He spoke out, raised millions for research, and became a symbol of resilience. Or Terry Fox, who lost his leg to cancer and ran across Canada anyway. His marathon of hope didn't just raise money, it raised courage in millions. Or Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks. He grew up in housing projects, watching his father suffer after job injuries with no support. That pain drove him to create a company with healthcare for all employees. His discipline turned hardship into culture. None of these people waited to heal. They used discipline to move through pain. That's your second mission. Build a 3-step response plan for when life hits hard. It could be 1. Breathe deeply. 2. Journal for 5 minutes. 3. Talk to someone you trust. Don't wait for crisis. Prepare for it. Les Brown once said, "You gotta be hungry. Not just for success but for growth." Pain is part of that hunger. Ryan Holiday adds, "The obstacle is the way." And he's right. The pain you're feeling might be the very path you need to walk to become who you're meant to be. Your final mission in this chapter? Practice vulnerability with intention. Share your story, even if only with yourself. Write it. Speak it. Give it shape. What we can name, we can change. This chapter isn't about escaping pain. It's about choosing not to be defined by it. Because when discipline meets suffering, healing begins. And healing gives birth to purpose. Next, you'll learn how discipline can help you build a future you actually want to live in. Discipline isn't just how you survive hard times. It's how you shape a future that matters. Because at some point, it's not about just making it through the day. It's about building a life you actually want to wake up to. Jordan Peterson says, "Responsibility is the path out of despair. Not talent. Not motivation. Responsibility. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix your life, and start owning every part of it, is the moment everything starts to change." But here's the truth. You don't need to rebuild your life all at once. You need a rhythm. A process. A path forward. That's why your first mission in this chapter is simple. Write down one sentence you hope someone says about you on your 80th birthday. Not about your success, but about your character. That sentence is your North Star. Tony Robbins says, "Your destiny is shaped in the moments of decision." Small choices, repeated with discipline, create the person you become. Think of Stephen King. He rewrote his first book, Carrie, over a dozen times while working as a janitor. That wasn't talent. That was obsession powered by routine. By discipline. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was homeless at 23, living in a car with his mom. What pulled him out? Not a miracle. Discipline. Training. Focus. Relentless self-respect. And Sylvester Stallone? He sold his dog to afford food. Then he wrote Rocky in 3 days and refused to sell the script unless he played the lead. That movie became a cultural icon. Why? Because it came from real hunger. Real fight. That's your second mission. Build a 3-minute daily ritual that reminds you of who you want to be. Could be prayer, fetching, reading, writing. Just 3 minutes every day to remember your values. Robin Sharma, author of The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, says, "Your legacy is built in the silence of your daily decisions." Discipline is quiet, but it echoes. And then there's Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty, abused, rejected, yet she didn't let any of it define her. She took radical responsibility for her life. And with discipline, she became one of the most powerful communicators in the world. But even more than her success, it's her impact that lasts. David Goggins puts it plainly, "You want to be hard? Face your truth in the mirror." That leads us to your third mission. Do one thing today that helps someone else. Doesn't have to be big. Send a kind message. Help a neighbor. Be the person you wish you had when things were hard. Because real discipline isn't selfish. It multiplies. It becomes legacy. You started this journey by breaking cycles. Then you turn pain into power. Now you're becoming someone who builds meaning every single day. And the best part? You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to decide. You've made it to the end. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new. A life built not by chance but by choice. Not from noise but from the quiet strength of discipline. You've seen what happens when discipline meets chaos. It brings order. When it meets pain, it creates purpose. And when it meets vision, it becomes legacy. Jordan Peterson reminds us that life is full of tragedy, but it's our response that defines us. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a bridge. A way out of despair. A path into meaning. Tony Robbins says, you become your standards. And the standard you choose to live by, how you show up even when it's hard, that's what shapes your future. If you take just one thing from this video, let it be this. You are not powerless. Not because you have all the answers, but because you can choose your next move. And then the next. And the next. That's how all transformation happens. Quietly. Daily. Through discipline. So ask yourself, what's the story you want to tell 5 years from now? What version of you will look back and say, that's where everything changed? The path is not easy. But it's clear. Discipline isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the door to it. So walk through it. If this message resonated with you, subscribe, like, share it with someone who needs it. Be part of a movement that believes in real growth. One habit. One choice. One life at a time. You were made for more. And it begins today. Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.